Hi everyone! In this video we're going to develop the exercises. We're going to answer the exercises from 1 to 6 of chapter 4, The Market Forces of Supply and Demand. This is a book of Gregor Mankiw which is called Principles of Economics. So the first question says, explain each of the following statements using supply and demand diagrams. First, when a cold snap hits Florida, the price of orange juice rises in supermarkets throughout the country. So here we have the quantity and here we have the price of orange juice. So here we have the initial situation. Imagine that the market is in equilibrium. So we have Q1 and price 1. So due to the cold snap, so we are talking more about the consumers, so they demand more because there is a change in their tastes, because they like more and they need it. So in this case it's going to be an increase in demand. So what is the the effect? So we're going to have Q2, some more quantities, and we are going to arrive to a higher price. Okay, so this is the change. B. The weather turns warm in New England every summer, the price of hotel rooms in Caribbean resorts plummet. So here we have the quantity of rooms and the price of rooms in New England. So here we have the initial case, but again, given the weather turns warm, there is an increase in the demand. More people go there. So where is the effect? Here we have the Q1 and P1 of equilibrium, and afterwards, given this change, is going to be an increase in demand. So the prices and quantities, they're going to both rise. The next point: when a war breaks out in the Middle East, the price of gasoline rise while the price of a used Cadillac falls. So why? So first, I'm in the gasoline market. So here is the initial part, the initial equilibrium, Q1 price 1. So given the war, there's going to be like decrease in the supply of gasoline because of the war. So it's going to be P2 and Q2. So it's going to be an increase in the price, as the problem says, and it's going to be a decrease in the quantities. So what about the Cadillac market? So we can think about, here is the equilibrium part, which is Q1 and P1. So how we can think about it? So we can think about the Cadillac market. They are cars, so they need gasoline. So we can think about gasoline and Cadillac cars as complementary goods. So when the complementary goods, when the complement good, it goes up, so it means there is more expensive for users of Cadillac, or at least potential users of Cadillac. So the demand is going to go down. So this is going to be the demand. It's going to be D2. So we're going to see a decrease in the price, as the problem says, and the down of quantities as well. So the second point: an increase in the demand for notebooks raises the quantity of notebooks demanded, but not the quantity supplied. Is this statement true or false? Explain. So here we have the quantity of notebooks and here the price. We have the equilibrium position, which is the demand and supply. So here we have the Q1 and P1. So given the increase in demand, so we are going to arrive to Q2 and P2. So it's going to be an increase for both, for prices and for quantities. So is but not the quantity supplied. So as we see here, there is no a change. I mean, there's not going to be a shift in the supply curve. There's going to be a movement along the curve, but there's going to be an increase of supply as well. It's going to be an increase, but there's not going to be shift of the curve. So given all the remain the same, there is no other change, just the problem says this is false, because the supply, there is a movement along the curve. So the three, consider the market for minivans. For each of the events listed here, identify which of the determinants of demand or supply are affected. Also indicate whether demand or supply are affected. Also indicate whether demand or supply is increased or decreased. Then show the effect on the price and quantity of minivans. So the first case is people decide to have more children. So here we have the minivan. When we here start, we start with market in equilibrium. So we can think about the children. So the minivan, they're used for children. Okay, so people need more minivans because they need to transport children. So the demand is going to increase. It's going to shift to right. So this case we have an increase in quantities and an increase in prices as well. So the next case, strike by steel workers raises steel prices. So here we are in the supplier side, okay? Because here we have the initial part. So remember that when we have input changes in the input prices, we need to shift the supply curve. In this case, the input, which is steel, is going to rise. So in this case, the supply curve is going to shift to left. Okay, so here the consequences or the effects are the quantities they are going to decrease and the prices they are going to increase. Okay, next case, engineers develop new automated machinery for the production of minivans. So here we are talking about a change in technology. So we are talking about supply. So when there is an improvement in technology, there's going to be a shift to the right. So here was the initial case, Q1 and P1. Now, due to the technology advance, the supply curve is going to shift to the right. So here we have the quantity increase and the prices they increase as well. Okay, so this is the case. The next case is price of station wagon rises. So here we have the initial part, P1 and Q1. So what is a station wagon? It is a substitute or a complement good for minivan. So definitely it is a substitute good. So when the price of a station wagon rises, so the buyers or the consumers of station wagon, they are not going to buy more or they're going to buy in less quantities. So these people that they cannot afford station wagon, they're going to pass to the other market, to the market of minivans. So they're going to buy more. In this case, it's going to be an increase of demand. So it's going to be a shift to the right for these people, for this market. So what is the consequence? It's going to be an increase in prices and there's going to be an increase in quantities as well. So the stock market crash lowers people's wealth. So I think this is kind of subtle. Why? Because for example here we have the initial case. What I think about it, I think that maybe these people, the lowest people wealth, they don't buy minivans. Okay, so because they don't buy minivans, there's not going to be any change because this is beyond this market. So in this case, we're considered that people that purchase minivans, they don't buy minivans. What I mean, I think it's kind of wrong here. What I'm trying to say is like these people, lowest people, they don't buy minivans, so there's not going to be any change on the market. So four, during the 1990s, technological advance reduced the cost of computer chips. How do you think this affected the market for computers, for computer software, and for typewriters? So here first we have the first market, which is the computers. So here is kind of is depend how you think the problem. So here we have the initial case. So if I think that computer chip is an input, okay, for the computers, so it's going to be like a decrease in the price of the input, so the supply is going to be shift to the right. So it's going to be a decrease in the price of computers, and it's going to be an increase of the quantities in the market, which makes sense, which I think makes sense. On the other side, we have this software market. So here we can think about the same, because we can think that if I think that the chips, it makes part of the incentives or the inputs of the software, so I can think that the supply is going to increase and the prices of software, they're going to decrease, and there's going to be more a bigger or larger quantity, which makes sense. Well, I think it's okay. And the other side is the typewriters market. So here we have the initial case. So remember that we are thinking about computer chips. So here what I did. So I think that first there's going to be a decrease of supply of these, because maybe there's going to be more people, that more suppliers that they are going to given this technological advance, they're going to produce more computers. Okay, I can think about that, but I think that the most obvious part is going to be the decrease in demand. Okay, why? Because people that they were using typewriters, the substitute is the computer, so they go to the market, to the computer, and they consume more. So in this case, the demand curve is going to shift to the left. So if you think, now that I'm thinking more about the problem, maybe it's not so clear the supply shift, but it's so clear the demand. So it's going to be a decrease in prices and decrease in quantities if I just move the demand. On the other side, I think that I'm going to move the supply. The quantities, they are going to be less, absolutely, 100%. But it depends on the change of the demand and supply, which make the price higher, lower, or the same. Okay, so in this case, maybe I can think more about just the demand, and it's going to be a decrease in price and decrease in quantities. It's up to you, but I think it's just more the movement in demand. The fifth point, using supply and demand diagram, show the effect of the following events on the market for sweatshirts. A hurricane in South Carolina damages the cotton crop. So here we have the quantity of sweatshirts and the prices and the price. So here is the initial case. So here is the hurricane, which is the cotton, so which is the important part of the input of the sweatshirt, and the price go up. The prices go up of cotton, so the supply is going to be reduced, so it's going to be shift to the left. So in this case, what is the consequence? There's going to be an increase in prices of sweatshirts, and it's going to be a decrease in quantities. The B point, the price of leather jackets falls. So how we can think about leather jackets? So here's the initial case, where I think the leather jackets, they're going to be a substitute. So if the price of the substitute decrease, more people, they're going to consume more leather jackets instead of sweatshirts. So in this case, the demand is going to shift to the left. So there's going to be a decrease in prices, and it's going to be a decrease in quantities. The next case, all require morning calisthenics, inappropriate attire. So in this case, there is going to be a more demand of sweatshirts, so the demand is going to be shift to the right. So what is the consequence? What are the consequences? There's going to be an increase in quantities, and there's going to be an increase in prices. Okay, the new kitting machines are invented. So we are thinking about the supply side. So because of the technological advance, there's going to be a shift to the right for the supply. Okay, so what is the consequence? It's going to be a decrease in prices, and it's going to be an increase in quantities. Okay, so the sixth and last point, of this video, suppose that in year 2005 the number of births is temporarily high. How does this baby boom affect the price of babysitting services in 2010 and 2020? Hint: 5 years old need babysitters, whereas 15-year-olds can be babysitters. So here we are first in the 2010 market. So here is the original price. Okay, this is 2010. So due to the number of births, there's going to be an increase in demand. Okay, so this is going to bring more quantities of babysitter, and there's going to be a bigger, higher quantity of prices. But what about 2020? So in 2020 we are thinking about there's going to be these people that they were cared, okay, people were looked after before, they're going to look after babies afterwards. So this is going to be, this is the initial case, but remember that they are now 15-year-old, so it's going to be an increase in the supply, right? But at the same time they don't need more to be cared, so there's going to be a decrease in demand as well. So depending of the movement, the quantities, they're going to vary. They're going to be higher, they're going to be lower, or they're going to be the same. It depends of the shift of those curves. But what is clear is 100% sure is the price of babysitting is going to decrease. Okay, I hope this video it has worth for you, and have a great success with economics, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.